This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2022. Let's go. This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is my stock, Bitcoin, gold, and silver daily market recaps. Please subscribe if you like what you see. Thank you. This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for February 1st, 2022. Let's get into it. Again, I apologize that the audio is not great. I am filming from a remote location that does not have the great sound quality, but we're going to do our best anyway, even when I'm on vacation. Let's get into it. So, went for a nice hike this afternoon. We're in Salt Lake. And yeah, I always start off in the Discord room. If you ever have any questions about these videos or just in general, want to chat, you know, we're always in here kind of bullshitting. It's interesting after hours, Google doing a 20-for-1 stock split. That seems very .com-ish top split action when you do a ton of splits after a big run. We'll see how it ultimately plays out, but there's a lot going on in the market. AMD crush it, PayPal miss. Again, if you ever have any questions about anything in this video as you listen and you want more, you know, information or just in general confused, stop by. There's a lot in these videos. Again, I appreciate people watching all the way through to really pick up on all the nuggets so that when they do have questions, they don't have to ask. The answer's already there potentially, because that really is always one of the most annoying things is when you do all this work to drop a video and someone doesn't take the opportunity to try to find the answer. Because again, if you're not familiar, the tickers are in order in the description. So also the link for the Discord room. Let's get into it. Again, I hope everyone's having a great week so far. Big cup and handle in Bitcoin coming into the downtrend. This is the key. I want to see this red downtrend break. I mean, we've got the volume and the action at the lows. I mean, you can see very, very obvious. Let me just draw another arrow. You can see the action. So I think we're at the bottom. Now, again, is it a blowout bottom that ultimately chops, or have we gone far enough down from 66? What was it? What was the high? Actually, 68,000 down to 34, 35. I mean, 33. I mean, that's a big move down quickly. So I anticipate this downtrend breaking, popping. Do we make new highs in the short term? That's always going to be a question mark. I would think the first kind of resistance would be obviously somewhere in this 50,000 range. So, I mean, again, the risk is reward. We would recommend it again. If you were buying down here in the lower levels, near 33, 34, 35 with a stop, you're feeling pretty good about the action. So let's get into the market and the typical tickers. The TLT, we talk about this constantly. Again, people hope to understand, like, the market is priced in the Fed rate hikes. Here's where the push was at the end of the year. Look how bonds have corrected. Now, again, if you don't know the TLT is the most liquid bond fund in the world. It moves as close as you can get to, in my mind, to the 10-year treasury in the sense of knowing what's going to happen with bond market. We talked about this level of the TLT being important. I thought it would hold 141, but we actually went down lower into this chop zone, which is this big blue thick zone. We've made higher lows, and what have we said? You got to watch the 20-day in red. At this point, we're not breaking over it, so could this be a higher low or ready to break down? I think if you go look at the 10-year treasury since December, it moved from 1.3s up to 1.8s, and if you do the math, that's almost 50 basis points, which would seem to be that the market priced in 2 rate hikes already. Keep that in mind if you're not aware. The dollar, we've talked about it, getting to the top of this range. Look what happened, doji action. Now again, when I do the splat fart sound, I would just be aware that I think if you look at this action, we are in the topping of the range. And I think if you look at where we've come from, we had that nice big W pattern, talked about the bottom back in the last year this time. The retest, well, that was the first bounce. And then I think ultimately we can hang high and tight, but I do think ultimately we are going lower. So, man, the VIX, this is just one. It's so funny to see everyone's still so bearish on the market and the VIX spiking. And it just seems obvious that when retail outlets are pumping a narrative so aggressively wrong, to me, it just seems like it only is going to get worse. Like, we talked about this action getting into a crash over 31 and getting up near 40, and ultimately what were the causes? The Fed potentially in Ukraine, all things that I don't think matter ultimately short term, and we're going to come right back down. And as much as I'd hate to say it, that is pretty crazy how fast we've already dropped. If you've been following my trade recommendations, I said short the UVXY anywhere over 19, 18, and here we are in the 13s, and that's a great trade. You do the math on it, 20 down to 14. It's a great trade percentage wise. Points wise, you're not too disappointed either. Good old SPY. Now again, everyone's getting bearish as we're holding the range of lows. I mean, this blue zone to me was the key, and then getting over the 200-day, which we talked about. Once we got over it, well, guess what? We got over it. The 200-day is this light blue line in this little box area. What have we done? We made higher highs, and we said this yesterday that we're probably going to continue higher. And with the, oh man, I hate to use that word almost. What the irony is, everywhere I look for sentiment when I go, say, StockWits, Twits, Facebook, trading groups, Reddit, everyone is still bearish. And then it's like, well, don't be surprised. I mean, everybody today said after this candle yesterday, the market was going lower, and it's like, wait for the trend lines. No, and look what happened. We had another up day. Now again, it had a long wick, but did it just shake people out and close at the highs? Yeah, that's what it just did. So again, don't get too bearish. Again, if this is a bear market rally, which it could be ultimately, if say that was the top, the market rallies are going to be very violent. Like bear market rallies are very violent, and you don't want to get on them early. And again, could the Feds change their tune and we ultimately break this downtrend? Same thing for the Qs. I mean, getting down into levels that made sense to hold, and we did. And short-term 200-day downtrend. I mean, after hours, Google's doing a 20-for-1 split. It's up. Let me look real quick on my phone. What percentage is Google up right now? It is up a whopping sure it was up 7%. So that's going to lead the Nasdaq higher. We're probably trading somewhere, the Qs are trading somewhere in the 360 range. So just keep that in mind. It is what it is. Let's jump into the metals, because again, this is the thing. Again, sentiment is so, it just went, gold couldn't go lower till gold is the worst, and it can't go anywhere. And what did? We popped up to the 200-day, and we held the 100-day. We're just chopping. I don't mind that consolidation. It's very clear that we held this range low, and we need some follow through. Seasonality is in our favor. I just keep trying to warn people, like, beware. We're in this big ass cup and handle, and when the handle downtrend breaks, this motherfucker is going to go bonkers. And that's why I also like silver, because I think silver is going to play a lot of catch up in this next move in the commodities. Action today, interesting. Get up here in the 50-day, close at near the lows. We filled the gap. Look out on the monthly again. We're in the no-brainer buy zone. It's this light blue bar. It was the high here, broke out. It's just a resistance, no resistance. Now it's support. It seems very obvious that the zone is going to matter. So far, we're holding it. And again, if you get anywhere near 20, I think your downside is minimal. If you have stops, you can play it really tightly. Let's get into some of the miners. Good old kale is we talked about this doji down here being ominous. You go straight down to range lows, you're gonna pop. I'm not surprised after this action. It pulls back and goes nowhere on light volume. AG, we recommended this one. I couldn't believe it made lower lows. I liked it near 10. Well, guess what? Mid 10s, it was even better. Loved it. Just absolutely loved it. And now what's happening? It's popped up. You're at some areas like this trend line in 20-day. Not surprised it backed off of it, but look at the volume. I think ultimately what you're going to see is this thing is going to go ape shit. It's just, I don't know when. And so I like to play the levels and let the market prove to be right or wrong, not overthinking it, because I like to buy low and sell high. I don't like to buy high and chase higher. I'm not those people eventually get blown out. I've been there. Works until it doesn't. PAAS, same kind of thing, made a lower low, popped right back up, anywhere in the low 20s, gift from the gods. This is one of my favorite trades going. Letter X, talked about it first. Again, people ask me, like, why do you like stocks? And I'm always like, first of all, I need to like the long-term pattern before I want to invest in a swing. And if you look at what the action has done, it went from like $4 almost to 30. It did 31. We held the 20-month. This is normal. Pretend this was like an hourly chart. You wouldn't think twice that this was bearish. You would think this is consolidation, and that last down was like a micro blowout. And then when you look at the daily, you see it blew out the low range lows and it came right back. That is bullish, man. That's what I call a knee bend. And knee bend before you jump is you drop your knee. So you bend your knees before you jump. That's what that looks like. VALE, man, this thing is any day it's down. Anytime we said get near the 20-day, and look what it did. It just gapped up and it closed near the highs. That's relative strength. I keep telling people these names are strong as shit. AMD, we did an alert on this about the 200-day. It went ultimately lower. Talked about you could buy it when it got back over the 200-day. Let's check it out after hours. I know they had their earnings. Yeah, back at 128. So I was right ultimately. What I said was if you bought it somewhere down here, you might have 20 points of upside. 128, pretty strong. Anywhere from 109 to 100. That's a pretty good trade. It is breaking the downtrend potentially, but watch tomorrow's follow through. See if it can get through the 100-day and the 20-day and the downtrend here around 128. That's what I would be watching. Because if you can break the downtrend, maybe, again, as I've said to people, if they zoom out, like, wow, I was bearish on it for a while. I was like, dude, it went on a great run, and it hit the channel highs, head and shoulders top, and then it corrected. Now, again, could this be a V bottom? You know, I'm not one to believe in it. When I see bottoms, you usually see up and then a chop. Or you come up, you make, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of bottom I like to see. Or here's the first bottom, and then it ultimately made a lower bottom. It's tough to say. Like, there's no easy answer. I'd love to say, like, without a doubt that I know what's going to happen every time, but I mean, I'm just trading probabilities, and so do you. And that's ultimately what you can do. And at this point, what I would say is after this move up, I would not chase it. Again, how they talk about, I don't chase. I'd let the action play out, because ultimately it could get waterlogged here. And if it gets waterlogged here, see what happens. And if it starts dropping and you want to buy it, then great. And if it breaks higher and rips back to the highs, if it gets there too fast, the play is to actually short it. Seems obvious, but a lot of people don't see it that way. Apple, we put an alert on this around the 100-day. Looks great. Nice volume off the lows, getting back up towards the range highs. I mean, that's a solid 20 points. I think it could get back in the 180s. Ultimately, on the monthly, it could even get up into the low 200s. Look at the monthly chart. Again, Apple's not one I'm shorting. I think their buyback, their dividend, and their cash flow is ultimately benefiting them in the short term, especially if the Feds are raising rate. People aren't going to be worried about them. Let's get into the next sector, Roblox. We talked about this being a freaking steal down here, getting below the IPO price, and ultimately it bounced. You know, we talked about, like, hey, if you can buy it in the 50s, good. But just keep in mind, this stock can get waterlogged at the lows at times. Now, I know they've got some issues with people getting pissed that they feel like it's kid gambling. Ultimately, that headline only took it a little lower, I think. Let's see what happens here. Wait for... everything has to build back. You'd love, and this is the thing, I mean, I don't own Roblox like I probably should have and get greedy at it near the lows, but I'd love to see a W pattern and maybe a higher low here on the right side. That would be sick, because then I could buy that and you could have a stop verified at a low. And again, I mean, if you're a long-term swing trader and you want to risk $10 thinking you could, having a wide stop, like $10 stop, I think you can do that. Keep in mind, it came from 140 down to 60. I mean, are you willing to lose $10 to see if it could get back up into hundreds? The risk is worth the reward. Just keep it simple. MicroStrategy, we've talked about this thing just getting absolutely shit canned, kicked to the curb. It's at levels that make sense. It just is. I mean, if Bitcoin's bottoming, here's the old VAP zone. I mean, it's amazing to see how this thing is just, again, when you make a big move, you consolidate it. This could be a knee bend. Could this be a lower low shake out volume before you go? Because, man, keep in mind, like, everyone who bought all these dips has been penalized. At some point, if it does have bullish potential, it will get over the 20-day and it'll have hundreds of points in it. So, again, if you've got anywhere near the lows, congrats, have stops, because it made lower lows than we thought it might hold here at 560, and then we thought it might hold here at 460. No, not 460. I think it was 500. It doesn't matter at this point. Stops did their job. Use stops, please. Don't be that guy or gal who just thinks they can never be wrong. RIVN. This one's interesting because it went below the IPO price, and I talked about how You'll see stocks go below the IPO price and still can come back and do strong. It got down to the 1.5 fib extension going lower, and it bounced. Again, if you're not near the lows, it's tough to chase this thing. So I don't really have an opinion on it other than see what happens when it gets back into the mid 50s. I don't really believe in V bottoms because I can't trade against them with references. I'm a big fan of the W's and the repeating patterns of channels and bottoms. So Tesla, we talked about that. There's another one we put out an alert on. We said, hey, watch this channel low in like the 200-day. And clearly it held. Now the next move for Tesla, if you really, really want to get bullish, let's zoom in on it. You need to break this downtrend. And I know this downtrend is pretty, it's not something that looks like it's, I would say etched in stone, but I want to see, instead of lower lows, you need to start seeing higher highs. And that's where, if we can get over the downtrend and back over, say, over 1,000, maybe it could get back to 1,200. I'm not a believer long-term in Tesla stock necessarily, because I think ultimately it needs to shake out. And people who don't know Tesla other than the short-term time frames, I mean, it's pretty good about it. Like when it went to channel low, it took it some time. Like would not be surprised if it retests 800. Then I might be bullish. If it holds that channel, good. But I just don't believe in, the first bottom is always the hardest to identify. And so if you can get the retest, then you get the risk reward. Let's get into PENN gaming, because this one's finally getting over the 20-day. We talked about this. And I mean, I've said for a while that ultimately this volume unlocked has market makers all over it. They're going to have to cover their shorts. And when you get over the 20-day, maybe it's time. Whether you like Portnoy or not, it just doesn't matter. It's just the stock is. Could this be a knee bend, like a fake lower low to rip higher? It's over the 20-day. So if it knocked your stop to buy, you're in at 45, just know what you're willing to lose. Because I still think it could get up into the, wouldn't be unreasonable to see it back into 60. So if you're buying it at 45, 65 is not a bad risk reward, especially with a tight stop. Again, like, don't overthink this shit. I mean, I talked to so many people who are like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's like, anything's a willing, you don't know until you bet it, as Jesse Livermore said. So, but if you bet it and you have a plan and you only lose a little bit, it's not that big a deal. UTHR, talking about this channel low, really get bullish, needs to get over 215. Again, if you're watching these videos, you're like, yeah, damn, you said the same thing over. It's a big consolidation pattern. If it breaks out, it's going much higher. It's just that simple. EXPI, yeah, a little late on it. I mean, again, I liked it down here in the 27 range. We're back to it. What have I said? Now you got to get over this 20-day. We're right back at it. Keep an eye on it. If you zoom out on the monthly, you can see, like, this is a pretty good area. Not that ultimately this is the bottom, but I'm going to draw the Fibonacci's like it is. And if it is, then watch what happens here. I mean, I think going into the seasonal bullish time for real estate, it's a no-brainer. It's going to pop. How strong it'll be? We'll see. Let's end it on the oil names, which we always do. Man, Exxon, XOP. I tried to warn people. Oh, come on, XOP. Today, Junior. We talked about retesting the highs. It backed off, made a higher low, and now you're back at the highs. If oil is about to go bonkers again, you've actually consolidated here. So I think you can play the game for what it is, and meaning it could be a big move. I mean, think about it. If you go 72 to 112, say that's 40 points. What's 40 points from 88? Would you take 128? I think so. I think that could be the upside. Maybe it's a channel high. It's tough to know for sure because there is a clear channel high. But I mean, if it breaks out over 112 and gets up to 120, 10 points, risk $1. Again, these are all trades that you need to understand that you can plan from different angles, meaning like from the lows to the channel breakouts to the retest. I mean, there's so many ways to skin the cat. And I always tell people, like, just put the probabilities in your favor. ExxonMobil, I was dead wrong. I thought we'd take a snooze pill here at the 100-month, 200-month and downtrend. Nope. But maybe it's time to break the trend. Here's that retest, double bottom. See how I said I don't like V bottoms? Look at this double bottom. And then the second bottom. And you're up. Watch this action. I mean, could it be capitulatory with earnings? Anything's possible. But again, if you've owned ExxonMobil, you're smarter than I. You've been buying and holding. So keep in mind the next couple days, being the first couple days of the month, there's typically bullish. Money moves into the market. Fund flows, pensions, they start buying. So Again, if you watch this far, please stop by the Discord room, please subscribe, and check out some of the other channels or other videos on the channel. I'm pretty sure you'll appreciate some of the stuff that's on here. It's meant to be an education channel, so I apologize again if the audio is not great. I'm filming in my buddy's spare kitchen because that's the only room in the house that's empty. So I will talk to you guys.
Thanks for watching. For more trading knowledge and insight, click on the videos on the right, and also join the Discord room. Link is in the description below. If you have any questions, please stop on by the Discord room and let's chat. Thank you.